Wannerro, round 8, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, and the cars lining up on the grid and set for a start in the first of 3 heats today. Craig Lowndes and Alan Jones sharing the front row.
Indeed, row 2, Peter Brock and Glenn Seaton.
Third row, John Bowe and Mark Scaife, then Wayne Gardner and Paul Romano.
Row 5, Russell Ingall and Tony Longhurst in the Castrol cars. Row 6, Dick Johnson and Stephen Ellery.
7th row shared by Greg Crick and Larry Perkins, then Stephen Richards and West Australia's Tim Slako.
Row 9, look at all these V8s. Claude Georgie and Mark Larkham, Grant Johnson and Kevin Waldock.
And the final row, row 11, Sean Walker and Peter McLeod.
Seconds away now from the start of Heat 1 for the third time in 96. Our championship leader, Craig Lowndes, on pole position, but look who's alongside him. Alan Jones, the first time on the front row for the pack leader Ford. They get the green light. Jones gets a great start, but Lowndes much stronger as they leap off the line and leads the pack into the first turn. And Larry Perkins, and I think it's the second pack leader car of Paul Romano, have tangled right back in the pack. You could see them flying across the pit exit road. So those two off the racing line. Be interesting to see when they come for the first time. Yellow flags waving meanwhile at the front. The field sweeps over the hill for the first time. It's Craig Lowndes in command from Alan Jones, Peter Brock in the second mobile Holden Racing Team car. Let's have a look at that on replay again. You can see the pack shuffling around. Bang, there's a collision there. I think Wayne Gardner caught up in that as well. Perkins and Romano flying off the track. Shades of 1995, and the Dashman John Bowe in similar circumstances in the clash off the start line.
Well, Larry had made a terrific start there because he was 3 rows on the grid behind Paul Romano, and yet by the time they'd gone 150 metres, they were dead set level, and they've tangled, and as you saw the result.
So Craig Lowndes leaving left off in Lakeside. Absolute domination up in Queensland. He's showing it again here. Big lead as they come across the pits straight for the first time. Alan Jones in second, Brock in third. John Bowe in the Shell FAI Ford in fourth, and look at Mark Scaife in the Sega Commodore. Good start leading Glenn Seaton.
Yeah, not a good start for Glenn Seaton. Came from 4th position, been shuffled back to 6th already.
Let's have a look at that incident again from race camp. Away they go, power down. Castrol car up ahead of him. Look at Gardner's the meat and the sandwich here. Power, he gets squeezed between them. Romano goes off the left. Perkins comes around the front to the right. They're both off in the sand. Well, it's pretty hectic when they come off the start line, Brad Jones. It's one of the most frightening parts of the race, isn't it?
Certainly is. Larry looked like he was trying to close in on Gardner there a little bit and stay on the tar, and Gardner was looking to move around a bit, and they touched, and Larry arrowed off into the sand, and once you're in the sand here, you're out of the race. Big challenge from Glenn Seaton. You can see him coming out of the pits last time. Didn't quite get Scaife under brakes coming onto pit straight, but I think he's done him there. There he is there in the Ford Credit Falcon. So Seaton pushes up another position. Lowndes, Jones, Brock, Bowe, Seaton, Scaife, Longhurst, and Gardner, as a way of that crash off the start, has pushed right back to 8th position.
Craig Lowndes stretching that lead now over Alan Jones. In fact, the top 4, Lowndes, Jones, Brock and Bowe, just got a little bit of a break over Glenn Seaton in 5th position. Mark Scaife hot on his heels. There's Alan Jones, winner here of the round 2 years ago when he was racing for the Glenn Seaton team.
And probably the last time he won a round of the Touring Car Championship, I think, Wilco.
Well, it just shows how quick Lowndes is going. He's just set a new lap record. Previously a 58.07 to Seaton. He's just done a 57.99, so Lowndes really taking it, the fight to the front of the V8s here. Blistering speed in these opening laps. Look at Brock. He just has a look down the inside of Alan Jones in the pack leader Ford. Most competitive run, and there's Romano's car. You can see the battle damage on the driver's door there. Paul's still in the car. He's trying to get back into the race.
He'd be very disappointed, really. I mean, it was no fault of his own. He was just, trying to get away from the start, basically, and next thing you know, he's got Larry in the door.
Very strong qualifying performance, too, from Romano. 8th position. Pack leader Ford's very competitive at Wanneroo today. First frontline start for Alan Jones. There's Romano. He's getting back into the race, but he's a number of laps down. So that's a great shame. Meanwhile, front of the pack leader Ford team, Alan Jones up here in 2nd position and really taking the fight to the so far dominant Holden Racing Team Commodores.
And in behind this pair, John Bowe, and then Glenn Seaton has closed up the gap, and he's on John Bowe's tail too.
Well, Lowndes slipped back to 58.5, Jones a 58.6.
In fact, Bowe's passed Seaton, so he's moved up 1 spot.
Yep, Bowe is on a bit of a charge here too. He's struggling for tyres, John Bowe. He's got a remarkable mix. Look at Alan Jones, gets very sideways. coming through the corner at the end of the straight. Brock wasn't able to take advantage, so Jones just managing to hold him out here.
And Allen's having to pedal fairly hard here. He looks to be holding Brock up a little bit. You can see Brock will have a look down the inside of him at coming into the sweeper that they're heading towards now and at the end of the straight. So Brock's carrying a little bit more car speed, but AJ's doing a really, really good job to qualify the car as well as he has. He's just moved on from Lakeside. You see Brock just have a little bit of a lock up there on the left-hand front.
Certainly.
And you know, the second here is a really good result for the team that have been operating together for very short space.
It's fantastic watching that power down advantage of the Holden Racing team. Look at Brock up the inside. He's got Jones covered this time. The crowd go crazy as Brock pushes through on the inside of the pack leader Falcon. He gets back to third position. And it's a Holden Racing team 1-2. Once again, 5 laps completed for our race leader.
And back in the
just
field.
in the background, we saw Glenn Seaton a little bit sideways there as he tries to duck down the inside of John Bow.
And further back in the field, something's going to miss with Russell Ingall. He's dropped right back through the field. In fact, Craig Lowndes is going to lap him very shortly.
We take race cam aboard the Ford Credit Racing Falcon.
Now you can see this John Bow's car. Look at it walking around on the tyres there. He's trying very hard. He's on the English tyres, and there's not many of them left. Lane's just dropped a couple of wheels off on the dirt there on the left-hand side. Very easy thing to do as you come out of that corner. A little bit understeer, but he closes up again, and he's right on John here.
You can see he's got a little bit more speed out of the critical cold corner, that big sweeper that sets up your terminal speed down this long straight.
Well, the Johnson's cars have traditionally had a bit more speed than Glenn's in a straight line, but as you see there, it's not all that evident. The Ford Credit car's obviously coming out of the corner well, and Glenn is really using all the road to try and get past JB. JB just assuming the defensive driving line there on the inside. Glenn goes out, takes a traditional line, and has another go at the back of Bow.
A couple of seconds back behind this order's Mark Scaife in the Sega Commodore. So the field now, Lowndes, Brock, Jones, Bow, Seaton, Scaife, Longhurst, Gardner, Johnson in 9th, and Greg Crick first of the privateers in the Alcare Commodore in 10th position. Bow's really got his hands full here. As Bradley mentioned earlier, using the last of the UK tyres. There's his teammate Dick Johnson in trouble. Down through the Bridgestone loop at the end of pit straight. He's gathered it all up. That's pushed him right down the order. Was running 9th position.
Well, Dick's running on the Japanese tyres, which is they've had another go at making some, and a lot of the Dunlop guys are a little bit disappointed on the results. But back to Bow, he and Seaton here having a ding-dong battle, and I think it's only a matter of time. Glenn really needs to press on. He thinks he's still in the chance for a championship. Here we have Dick Johnson.
I think it was out of here he got himself in trouble.
Yes, you can say that. Bit of a slide and a spin there for Dick into the sand. He was lucky actually not to go right off and get it bogged there.
Very lucky. Probably locked the rear brakes a little bit into that corner. You heard a little bit of a chattering on the noise, and he was swinging the wheel around trying to correct it, but unfortunately the Shell FAI car just looped around once. Teammate
John Bow for Shell FAI, the championship, the defending champion, but things are looking pretty grim now for 96 for him, with the challenger, the series leader for this year, Craig Lowndes, high-balling way up in front, and him under pressure here, John Bow from Glen Seaton. Well,
coming into this championship round, he was 23 points down on Lowndes, which is quite extraordinary. I think Lowndes has won 11 races and 4 rounds. Bow's only won 5 races and 1 round, and he's only 23 points behind him. It just shows the dogged consistency of Bow throughout this championship, and he's still hanging on there, and he will fight right to the last lap.
Seaton lining up for a look as they went through that corner.
Tony Longhurst coming up through the pack too, 7th position now, I think, behind Mark Scaife in the Castrol Falcon.
And the Coke Commodore just behind that pair, Wayne Gardner at the wheel.
Well, that's current placings you can see on the bottom of the screen there. Tony Longhurst coming under creased fire from Gardner in the Coca-Cola Commodore. Managed to survive that start line incident fairly unscathed.
Actually looks like he's holding Gardner up here. Gardner seems to have certainly a bit more speed than him through the sweeper, and running up to him there under brakes. The Coke team have been doing a lot of testing. The Neil Crompton car and Gardner's car that we see here are used extensively in the test program. Oh, and here we have Seaton. Listen to those brakes squealing.
Oh, he went very, very, very deep into Yokohama corner that time. Not quite quick enough. Bow just had enough real estate to sweep across in front of him. And because he was so slow out of that corner, he's lost a few car lengths. But I'm sure he'll be back there pretty quick. Here's Scaife in 6th position. 7th is Longhurst. Gardner in 8th. 6th, 7th and 8th. 2 Commodores in the Falcon locked in this battle. Tony Longhurst, you wouldn't blame him for having a little bit of a scare this morning. Lost a left rear wheel on the Castrol Falcon in the warm-up this morning.
Managed to keep it on the track, though.
And that comes just after that frightening steering failure in the Castrol Falcon at Lakeside a couple of weeks ago. So he's had a couple of equipment failures. And wouldn't blame him if he wasn't feeling too confident. Here comes Gardner really quick into Cold Corner. They're side by side as they come through the sweeper. Longhurst still pretty quick on the exit, but
Pretty generous of Longhurst, really left a little bit of a hole there for Gardner to dive into, and I'd say the next one will be Gardner's corner. He'll be cutting him no slack whatsoever, and there goes the Chief into the lead.
Side by side into Yokohama corner, just enough speed to cover Longhurst. Longhurst coming back at him on the outside as they come across the start-finish line to complete 10 laps of this 20-lap race, half distance. So Gardner showing good speed here, good consistency out of the Commodore as well.
Glenn Seaton still hounding John Bower.
Well, we said he'd climb back. He lost a bit of speed coming through Yokohama corner a couple of laps ago, but it didn't take him long to get back onto the tail.
Battle for 4th and 5th here.
John Bower running an incredible mix of UK Dunlop tyres here. Here comes Seaton, takes big advantage down the inside. You can hear how hard those brakes are working, squealing as he really buries the middle pedal.
It's a real tale of woe, isn't it, on tyres for the Shell FAI team. Johnson on these new Japanese Dunlops, which don't seem to work at all, and John Bower to mix the remnants, the dregs of what's left of the English Dunlops.
Well, the difficulty they're having is that they're effectively doing their Bathurst tyre testing in race conditions, and while that might be effective in terms of sorting out the right pace construction and compound, it certainly can affect your results. They're really struggling a bit here. Seaton up the inside of Bow. He goes back another position. So it's Lowndes, Brock, Jones, Seaton, Bow, Scaife, Gardner and Longhurst.
It's interesting watching from this race cam. You can see where Glenn gets on the power just a little bit coming out of the corner. You see Bow close up a little bit then, but you watch Glenn will get on the power. Look at him driving away from the Shell FAA car now. He just can seem to get the power down so much earlier, and look at the gap he's pulled away now. There's, I don't think John will be able to get back in touch with him to worry him.
It's interesting stuff. Seaton's in 4th position in this first heat, and he is not out of this championship by a long haul. There's our race leader, Craig Lowndes, absolutely dominant at Wanneroo once again. Peter Brock in 2nd position. Alan Jones, good run in the pack leader Falcon. Glenn Seaton in 4th. John Bow hanging on in 5th. Don't go away. There's plenty more happening in the West when we return.
29, Sean Walker, local proponent of V8 racing, and in trouble there. Just trying to clear the circuit, get out of the way, out of harm's way as the front runners come through. Still the battle 4th and 5th. Glenn Seaton having overtaken John Bow into 4th place, but not able to get anywhere near the front running pair at the moment, and that's Holden Racing's Craig Lowndes and Peter Brock.
I think Mark Scaife too closing the gap as we take Seager Holden race cam. So he's just starting to zero in on the back of the Shell FAI Ford. Bow struggling for grip. You can see the tail of the car sliding around quite noticeably on race cam. Mark Scaife.
There's no doubt that Scaife is closing in on Bow, and JB wouldn't be thinking of it, but this could be the end of the championship really for JB. It's an interesting shot. This. Have a look at the steering column flex when Scaife pulls a bit of lock onto the car. Give you an idea how much camber and cast the front of these cars run. As he turns on it hard, you can usually see the steering wheel flex up and down, and give you an idea just how hard these cars are to drive.
Mark Scaife, hard at work in the Seager Commodore. Very competitive at Wanneroo, as he has slowly starting to get some more speed out of the car during the year. Looking more and more competitive as we head toward Mount Panorama in October.
Well, he's certainly wrestling that car around there, and this is probably one of Scaife's better results for a long time. He's closing in on Bow, and quite a good dice developing for 4th place.
Well, it's interesting watching his lap times too. He's fairly consistently in the mid-59 second bracket, which is within a tenth or two of the times that Lowndes and Brock are currently cutting.
That's true, and we talk about the Dunlop competitors having tyre trouble. Well, it's the same for Mark Scaife and Tony Longhurst with their Yokohamas. They're experimenting all the time, trying different tyres, trying to come up with something that will work for them and ultimately be a good tyre to use at Bathurst.
So Scaife applying the pressure, just closing the gap to Bow as the laps unfold. 14 laps completed out of 20. He may well do it before this race is completed.
Stephen Richards leads the privateers in this event and is doing a good job. In fact, a number of the privateers, Richards along with Greg Crick, they did extraordinarily well. They've both moved up now into the top 10. Stephen Richards holding down 9th, Greg Crick in 10th position, and they're not far adrift of Tony Longhurst.
Richards was able to force his way past Crick, who's the early top privateer. And as we've seen all year, very quick. Meanwhile, Mark Scaife's getting very serious, getting past John Bow. As Seeger Holden race cam shows you, you're right in the hot seat. Back seat, the Seeger Commodore, as he tries to find a way past Bow. Bow, meanwhile, hasn't given away too much room to Glenn Seaton in front of him.
Which is a little surprising. We actually expected Glenn to skip away fairly quickly and close in on Jones, but there's not much going on there.
Well, it's interesting, both Bow and Seaton have slipped back into the 62nd bracket. Everyone else running in the mid-59s, including Scaife. He's putting on some good speed here.
At the moment, Scaife is the fastest car on the circuit, which is very encouraging for their program.
So 59.02 that last time around for Scaife. That is the fastest lap that time around. So either the HRT cars are easing off.
I think there's no doubt that they're easing off.
Certainly a 3-second gap now back to Alan Jones in third position.
Whatever he's got the lot, Craig Lowndes, at the moment as we get down towards the conclusion of the 1996 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. 2 rounds to go after this one here today at Wanneroo, and in this first heat he certainly looks like extending his championship lead. Peter Brock, the man who's done it all, has certainly had to grudgingly make way for his compatriot Lowndes in the Holden Racing team this season, but not without a fight. It's still there with Brock, and you wouldn't deny the man when he sets foot on any race circuit in the country.
Things just haven't gone right for him. He's actually qualified very strongly this year in comparison to his teammate Lowndes, and really had a lot of speed in the race, but the results just haven't been coming.
That's true, and I think after the first race at Eastern Creek, I mean, Craig did a fantastic job there, and he got maximum points, and really the team's focused on making Craig the champion this year. And Brock's, done very well in his qualifying efforts and in a couple of the races, but he really just hasn't had the breaks that Craig's had. Craig's worked very hard to get to where he has.
Yeah, fair to say, Brocky's had to work harder for what he's got.
Out of the 8 qualifying sessions so far, Peter's been faster than Craig on 4 occasions, and vice versa. So very evenly matched in terms of speed, these 2 drivers.
And I think the only thing that can probably stands between Craig and the championship now is, he really needs a DNF to get John Bow or Glenn Seaton back in the race, but with no pressure on him like he's running around now, it's very hard to think that something could go wrong or he will make a mistake. So
sort of picked up the pace that last time around, a 59.26, so not absolutely mucking around. But doing it very easy in the front, as you can see. If you look back through the field, there's Alan Jones in third position.
Which is another great performance. I mean, they're just getting stronger and stronger at each race meeting.
It's interesting looking at the back tyres of that car, though, Brad. It looks like there's sort of like an oil mist or an oil stain on the outside rear wheel. There's a little bit of discoloration there. Not sure.
The Dick Johnson cars, yeah, and I was going to say an AJ's car have had a little bit of trouble with rear brakes, but there's definitely something going on there. Maybe it's a seal in the diff or something's just leaking a little bit of oil out onto the rim, but certainly doesn't seem to be hampering his progress too much. And there's Greg Crick off. I'd say he's stuck there. Very disappointing for him. Fantastic job to be running in the top 10. He could end up getting out of this. Maybe.
The big sand trap down at Yokohama corner. That's the corner leading on to pit straight. Look at that. He's managed to drive his way out. So, very lucky man. Not many people get out of these sand traps.
And next it was something you'd see Parramatta on a Saturday night. He certainly had the rooster tail shooting up at the back of it.
Okay, let's look at that again on replay. Crick getting in trouble. Look at it on a race cam. We'll lock up at brakes. He's off out into the sand. Fairly harmless spin with the massive sand trap there. And the bonus was he was able to drive out. Meanwhile, Holden Racing Team steamroller continues. 19 laps completed. And they're on their last. And as we saw at Lakeside 2 weeks ago, these Mobile Holden Racing Team Commodores just making it look so easy.
Real tour de force, and this is the man set to assume the touring car throne in Australia the way this season is running down. We go to Seeger Race Cam with Mark Scaife, and Wayne Gardner has slipped by him to move up another notch.
Which is really weird. Scaife's time has dropped off 2 seconds a lap, so he's obviously in a bit of trouble there, and Gardner would be very happy with that. He's brings him up to 7th. and here we head down towards the last corner on the last lap.
No trouble here, though, for Holden Racing with Craig Lowndes and Peter Brock. Nose to tail through the last corner and line up for the checkered flag. They've done it again. Taken out Heat 1, Round 8, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship at Wanneroo. A comfortable 1-2 for Holden Racing. Alan Jones now crossing the line in third position. And, a real battle going on behind them. Glenn Seaton crosses the line fourth. Gardner just edges out John Bowe for fifth place.
Just got him. Just got him. Very quick out of Yokohama corner the final time around. So Bowe loses even more crucial championship points.
No surprises on the Shell race score. Craig Lowndes the winner, Peter Brock second, then Alan Jones, Glenn Seaton in fourth spot. Wayne Gardner, what a finish for fifth.
John Bowe hanging on for sixth. Mark Scaife in seventh. Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Ford in eighth. Stephen Richards first of the Privateers. And Larry Perkins rounded out the 10.
Well, what a great final few laps for Wayne Gardner, but the race started. You were like a pinball machine there for a while.
Yeah, I was the meat in the sandwich, unfortunately. Yeah, Russell and Roman on the other side. I don't know, they got tangled up and I was sort of in the middle of it. I jammed my foot on the brake. In fact, it reminded me of here of last year when Bowe took me out. I just jammed the brakes on and they speared off to the left. So, and I just got on my way and had a good race after that.
Yeah, nonetheless, you know, forgetting the first lap or so, it was a fantastic performance by the Coca-Cola Commodore.
Yeah, the car has improved quite a bit here. You know, we're just chipping away and working at it and just trying to refine it. And, you know, I think there's two different races here. It's a tyre race here at this circuit and, you know, we're on Dunlops and to be the first Dunlop runner home, I'm really pleased about that. So, you know, I think we're doing a good job with what we got.
You certainly are, Wayne Gardner. The V8's a taste of what is to come. Also on today's program, the Formula Fords, and they're up next.